Welcome to Rebel Watch, an all Star Wars podcast.
Hey, what are you trying to push on us?
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly.
Hey Star Wars fans, welcome back to an episode of Rebel Watch. I'm Ez, and this is Matt.
Never forget. I never do.
He doesn't. He wants us to. We needed a dark side presence.
It's true.
And Matt is kind of
Fool me once, episode 4. Fool me twice, blown up again.
That's right. That's right. Never forget. Oh, my
and
God.
then a third time.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Force Awakens. Oh goodness. All right. So how you doing today? Doing all right?
I'm good.
Good. So this is our main sort of podcast where we're going to talk about a couple different things. We've got Lightspeed Round for folks today. Matt's going to talk a little bit about what's going on in our YouTube channel. We've got some stuff going on there with some merchandise, and I just saw his first video, and it's just freaking sick.
Hopefully it's good.
It's so good.
By the time this video is posted, it should be up.
That's right. It should be up, and you guys should be able to go check it out. We'll talk about it in just a second. So stay tuned. And then after that, we're going to talk about the Knights of Ren today. Mm-hmm. Got an interesting discussion on the Knights of Ren, I think. Yeah. So it's not something I've really talked a lot about. So it's going to be kind of interesting just to see what Matt thinks about it and what you guys think about the Knights of Ren. So the first thing we're going to hop into is our Lightspeed Round. Now, to participate in this round, we've kind of modified it today. We're doing yes or no questions or like short answer, one answer sort of things. So if you want to participate, though, you can hop on patreon.com/rebelwatch or / whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's a slash. And so you can hop on there, and one of the tiers you can hop in and you can submit questions. We have a tier on there where we will read your Snoke theory, your Rey theory. We'll read whatever theory you want when you send it to us. Yeah, if you got theories on Wicket being the Last Jedi, I'm down.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. It's a trap. So, but yeah, just hop on there and check that out. Also, we just recently did a collaboration with Rebel Scum podcast. Go check those guys over there, and we really appreciate all of their help and support. So let's jump right into it. Lightspeed Round. You want to go first?
Sure.
Go first? Okay, go for it.
Want me to go?
Yeah.
Is Mace Windu still alive?
Oh, man. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, why not? You know why? Because Samuel L. Jackson, we were at Celebration, and he said, according to him in his mind and heart at Celebration, he said, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to drop a mother trucker on the end of that statement. But, so he's, why not? He's still alive.
If Darth Maul can survive.
Well, I mean, obviously he's still alive because he's Snoke. So
yeah, possible.
Is Snoke is what I say. So okay, good question.
Okay,
All
so
right,
now do you give me one?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you one here. Let's see. Is Jar Jar the key to everything?
Yes, absolutely. George Lucas said it, and George Lucas is still king in my opinion. So whatever he says goes.
Yeah, it's one of Matt's favorite things to talk about, Jar Jar, and just how he is key to everything. And
yeah, I'm an Episode 1 purist. It's my favorite movie. I know it's not the best movie, but I love it. Let me say this: it's working.
Oh my gosh. Doggone, that was my next question. Hold on, I'm going to go next because I literally said, I asked you, no, look at this. I actually said, is it working?
Yes.
Because I knew Matt would be on today, so I was like, I have to go.
It is working. Hey, it is working.
Is Star Wars working?
She's an angel. I didn't know there were angels, but yeah. No,
okay.
She is.
So in general,
it's working.
How about this? I'm going to make it a little broader. It's working, but is Star Wars working with what's going on right now, like the new stuff, all that kind of stuff? What do you think?
It's tough.
It's tough for the answer.
It's tough because, like, for me, I don't know. It's just kind of hard to keep up with all the new stuff. I kind of view Star Wars more as like Disney and the way they're doing things, and there's a lot of things I think. I like to look at, like what's going on with ESPN, what's going on with their Marvel movies. How is that going to impact Star Wars? So far, it doesn't seem like it has, but I just kind of have this strange suspicion down the line.
You think it's?
I think it's going to. I think you have to look at Disney as a business as before when it was just Star Wars and George Lucas. It's just Star Wars. Now Disney, they have a lot more money. They can do a lot more things, but those other things at some point you have to creep into the decision making process. So I'm just.
Well, let's hear we're going to just take a quick pause here for a second because you brought up something interesting. Like if you look at like George Lucas, like you said, he's the father of this. He is God. But Kathleen Kennedy now is the head of this. Let's say these things don't go well, and all of a sudden she's ousted, and we've got someone new. Things start to change. The direction, leadership could change if things don't go well. Right. So like right now, I think they are going really well.
I do too.
But it's just one of those things that you hope that it's something you got to be really
Right.
careful with here in the beginning. You got to guide this ship perfect. You got to thread the needle in a sense.
Like
So,
for me, just real quick, the new Spider-Man just came out.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it. I liked it. I didn't love it.
Right.
It was good.
Right.
But I don't know. I just feel so burnt out on Marvel, and I just really hope that that's the same company now. So
Right.
I hope that's just not what happens with Star Wars. So far, I mean, their one-off movie that wasn't in the main franchise was Rogue One, and I think it's probably the third best Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'm hoping they do more. Like you said, they don't oversaturate things, and that was my worry too.
Yeah.
So
because even like this new Forces of Destiny thing, is pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
It is cool, and like the comic, if they can do more things like that, where they fill some of the holes in a different medium, in a sense, yeah. So okay, all right, you go for it. What's next?
Will Episode 9 be a revenge of or a return of?
That's really hard.
I know it's not technically a yes or no question, but
So it's probably gonna be a return of. And it's that's the cop out. That's the easy
Right.
way, because like I'm thinking of like Ben Solo, like this return. I'm not sure what in what capacity that would be, but I just
because it's supposed to be Revenge of the Jedi, then Return of the Jedi,
Why would
Revenge of the Sith,
All right. So you would think that we're back.
Maybe
to,
it's Resurgence of or something else.
Well, where we should be going back to is a revenge, right?
Yep.
Is what we should be getting to. But I just don't think. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be. It's more like we have to look at this as like we looked at the originals. Like this is a whole new. I think you've got your first 6. Now we've got sort of like this new saga that splits off, but it's going to have different elements that they start to kind of incorporate. We'll be asking those types of questions for different types of questions for the next 3 after that later on down. Maybe it's 30 years afterwards. Who knows when they're going to keep going with, if they're going to keep going with the episodes. But no, that's a good question. Okay, I kind of already asked this. What do you think? Will the Han Solo movie be any good?
Yeah, actually, now that Ron Howard's directing it, I feel like people were like, well, they went and did reshoots of Rogue One, and then Rogue One ended up being really good.
Yeah,
and as you know from the video I just put up, all that video games stuff like that, and lately a lot of people complain video games get pushed back, but typically that means because they're going to work on them longer. So
sure.
I personally, I haven't read enough into the Han Solo movie. I know Donald Glover's in it, and I think he's really funny. So I think he could be good. I don't really know a lot about the guy who's playing the young Han Solo, but I know Ron Howard's directing it now. So I mean, he's an Academy Award-winning actor and movie star, so I trust his judgment.
Cool. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm a little. I was a little worried, but then I was listening to Collider and Jedi Council and different things and have them talk about Ron Howard and this calming presence, and Lawrence Kasdan maybe really getting to do what he wants to do on this film. So I don't know, a lot of reshoots, but I hope it's going to be all right. So okay, what do you got?
So in episode 5, we see the AT-AT Walker.
Uh-huh.
In episode 2, we see all the cool stuff on Geonosis.
Yes.
Will there be a new assault vehicle in episode 8?
Yes. Yes, there will be. I don't know what it's going to be exactly. I've heard the guys over at Now This Is Podcasting, they get all this concept art and they're always looking at different things, and they said there's this almost like this gorilla like AT sort of thing or whatever. Yeah, and it's like the way it moves is very different. So it's like it's evolved or whatever, but it's massive. They say it's like, again, everything seems bigger. I'm not sure why in this 7, 8, 9, but from what they said, it's going to be like you've got your AT-AT, and then you've got like a monster version of something.
Just single A.
Just armored. So that's good. Okay, let's see. Is Kylo Ren one of the Knights of Ren?
Absolutely. Kylo Ren is. We will be doing a Kylo Ren video at some point in the future.
Kylo Ren's important, folks. You don't know who KyloRen is. You need to go check
look
him
it
out.
up.
We came across
it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Will Rey lose a limb in episode 8?
I think I can't remember what Mike actually asked this question once upon a time. I can't remember what I said. I still am leaning towards yes. I think she's going to lose some limb. It just seems to be a thing that happens. So I was actually kind of like, it's going to be like the episode 5. This is going to be like episode 8. So paralleling, I think the protagonist loses a limb. Yep.
Well, episode 5, Luke loses his hand. Episode 2, Jango Fett loses his head. So, you know, I mean.
And Anakin, people are losing limbs left and right
Yeah.
in that movie, actually. So,
and Padme is just losing her clothes, like inch by inch.
yeah, she was. Oh, that's funny. Okay, next. Are you up or me?
No, I just.
Me? Okay, last one here. Does Rey have a brother? Does she have a brother? I read some plot leaks today that
If she does, it's gotta be Kylo Ren. They've got to be brother sister. I think it's the obvious thing, which would defeat Reylo, which I actually am a Reylo believer.
Come on, you heard it here.
Well, I think it's gonna be Rey goes to the dark side, and just the fact that they're toying with Kylo Ren, almost leading to the light. I think they're gonna have him pull her back.
Okay.
Because maybe she's more powerful and Snoke goes for her or something.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So really, no chance that she has a brother that's not possibly.
I mean,
right now you think if she had to have a brother, it would have to be.
Yeah, I think that it's one or the other. I think it's either their siblings or they're going with Reylo.
I read something like it was a new sort of like plot leak today. I saw some channel talking about it, and it was like there was like, you know how in episode 5 they introduced they did different characters, right? So they brought in Lando, they brought in Yoda, 2 awesome big characters, right? Someone is mentioning that
Boba Fett. So.
Yeah, right.
There we go.
But they're talking about bringing in more characters than just maybe Laura Dern and Benicio del Toro. They're saying that possibly there could be this younger character that we've not heard about.
Yeah.
And this is all just straight rumor and speculation that I heard. I'm just like, we would have heard about that. We would have heard like a casting situation where like there's a younger person who's playing like the potential of a brother for Rey, but I'm not buying it.
Okay, my last question.
Go for it.
Will Luke use a dark side force power in episode 8?
Yes. I actually, matter of fact, Mike and I kind of think he's already force choked Rey in the trailer. We actually think she's gasping for air from a force choke. So I don't know. I think
we
they
see
just
force lightning. Extra question. Boom.
Force lightning. Deal with it. In the lightning. In the Lightspeed round. Okay. Force lightning. Yeah, I don't think Luke ever does force lightning.
What?
I think it's going to be so that would be a no for me. But I think will we see force lightning at all? I don't think we're going to actually. I think we're going to see different types of powers. I think force lightning is kind of like an overused thing.
Yeah.
I think they're going to show us something different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is this part 2 of our 3-parter here. Let's talk about Battlefront and what's coming up. What do you know? Do you know anything like just we're getting hyped for it? We're getting ready to go, and you know I've been watching like Star Wars HQ. He's doing videos left and right on Battlefront. I'm excited.
So I would say the next chance we have of seeing new Battlefront stuff is if we don't see it at D23, which I find kind of unlikely just because EA doesn't tend to do that. Gamescom, so we already had E3. Gamescom is in Germany, and it's the next kind of big video game conference. There are smaller ones here and there. There's like PAX East and things like that, which Penny Arcade Expo. It's kind of like Comic-Con, I guess. Like they have them like at multiple different places throughout the country.
Okay.
Kind of similar to the way Comic-Con does it, but it's video game stuff. So Gamescom is going to be August 22nd to Saturday, August 26th.
Yeah.
It's in Germany. It's kind of more of a... You don't really see big Japanese developers. They kind of wait till Tokyo Game Show, which is later in the year.
Okay.
So like Sony, Nintendo, they post then. So EA and a lot of these other companies, like even bigger American companies, will kind of do stuff during Gamescom, which is in Germany.
Yeah.
So I would say that would be the next time we see like a big Battlefront trailer.
Okay.
But so far, everything I see, Battlefront 2, new Battlefront 2 looks really good. It looks like EA has really learned from their mistakes. I mean, I can kind of go into why EA's, if you want me to right now, or I can wait.
One thing I was going to have you talk about, like if you want to, just sort of like Battlefront 1 to Battlefront 2, like what were, like just quickly in your mind, your thoughts. We've talked a lot about this in the past. Just
mistakes
and things.
Okay. So I'm going to very, 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 very briefly give you a rundown on Electronic Arts kind of as a company.
Yeah.
So essentially, Electronic Arts, starts like in the late 80s, early 90s. They're just kind of making games. Really, the first thing they get is like Madden. That's kind of like what really makes them into like a big powerhouse company.
Okay.
Then you kind of and they're producing all sorts of things. They essentially become this like huge company. They're buying all these smaller things. They buy BioWare, the people who make Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
And so there was a period of time, I think from 2012 to like 2015, where it was at least 2 years in a row where EA was rated the single worst company in America, like 2 years in a row. Not the worst video game company, the worst company in America. And a lot of that just has to do with kind of the things we saw in Battlefront 1, where they're like, hey, here's the game. And you're also going to have to pay $60 for all the DLC. And just compared to, say, like, it's just disappointing as a video game fan when you have these games from like 2004, which is the original Battlefront 2, where there's just a lot more features and things like that. And then we get this new game, and it's just missing a lot of content. Right. So they kind of learned from their mistakes. They gave out a lot of free stuff, and it looks like in the new game they're gonna really fix that, because it seems like they're like, we're not gonna do a season pass. Right. So you only spend $60 to buy the game. Because, I mean, $120 up front for content you're not even going to see for a year is asking a lot of somebody. Especially, you consider mostly these people who are buying are kids, things like that. So it seems like they've really learned a lot from it. The other thing you kind of have to remember with video games is that when you're making like new engines and things like that, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And so now they're in their second iteration. So it's a lot easier to make the game because you have the engine and everything set up. So it's more just kind of a copy and paste and then build around. So I think that it's just like the original. I mean, Battlefront 1, back in the day, like 2003, was good. But Battlefront 2 is like, a top 10 Star Wars game.
Right. Okay, cool. So, I mean, I guess this is, when does it come out, by the way? Do you know?
It comes out, I think, November.
Yeah, sorry, I put you on the spot, but.
No, that's okay. It comes out right around the time of the movie. November 17th, so about 1 month before episode 8.
Okay, cool. Because that's where we're going to get the Inferno Squad there's a book coming out that's going to kind of parallel the story mode. There's a story mode, right?
Yeah. And it's supposed to be a canon story mode. It's going to follow a stormtrooper, female stormtrooper, and kind of her thoughts of, wow, seeing the Death Star explode and, being kind of, taken aback by it. It kind of reminds me.
Never forget.
Yeah, never forget. It kind of reminds me of, was it Bloodlines we read? The one with Leia?
Yeah, and seeing like the other side of the coin?
Yeah, what was that guy's name?
Castarfo?
Yeah, Castarfo, where he's like, well, he has like all these Empire relics.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like that,
Right.
Yeah,
you get to see, and that's what Mike and I have talked a lot about this, and I know we've talked about this too. Is that you're seeing sort of the other side here? You're seeing. I think they're building towards an alliance. In the old Legends material, they had the Imperial Remnant eventually actually had to join with the New Republic, and they had to defeat the Yuuzhan Vong, and they had to come together. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if towards 9 or even after post 9, like that's what they're preparing us for, something like that. To where we see these two factions sort of maybe come together and have a new enemy or a new threat in the unknown region. So yeah, I totally think it's really cool that we're going to see this perspective. She's like a special trooper in the trailer. What we saw her, she sees the second Death Star blow up, and it's like there are hundreds of thousands of people right on that supposedly or something.
Oh yeah,
it's like it's a small moon. It's not a small moon, but it's like moon. So I mean, I think it's gonna be interesting to see that perspective.
I mean, that's one of the things one of the reasons I think Rogue One is so good is, we've talked about this before, not on camera, but if you just watch 4, 5, and 6, the only real thing you get about the Empire being bad is that, well, we just know they're bad. Because the story in 4, 5, 6 focuses around like Luke and Vader and like Han Solo, so we just know they're fighting the Empire. It's really 1, 2, and 3 where you kind of see that. Just why the Empire is so bad. And then you really get it in Rogue One. And so, there's a lot of people who think that how bad is the Empire really in like 4, 5, and 6? I mean, once they've taken over,
well, and it's another.
Are they really oppressing their people? Like,
another weird perspective is that like you have all these commanders who were in like Clone Wars, right? Who are commanding with the Jedi. Those are the same commanders that eventually, once it's reformed into a new empire, they're still commanding those same ships. They were once our good guys. Literally, they were the good guys that were standing next to our Jedi, and now they are the commanders of this. So to see that was a really good bridging, I thought, in Clone Wars to kind of see that other side of the coin. So yeah. So what do you think? Just finally, like, is this going to be everything? The hype is real. It's going to be Battlefront 2 is going to be what we what we need it to be, or
So I think one of the interesting things is EA has said that Dice. So essentially, Dice is the developer.
Okay.
They're the same company that makes the Battlefield games.
Okay.
Yeah. And they've scaled them back because they said we want to focus on Battlefront.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Battlefield 1, I mean, I'm sure we'll still get Battlefield games.
Right.
But like Battlefield 1 was made by a smaller team. So Battlefront, they want to put a lot more people into that. And I will also say the Star Wars Battlefront, the last one, was probably less on, say, DICE, the developer, and probably actually less on EA, really. Probably is more on Disney because Disney bought Star Wars, all the video game license. People kind of forget about that, LucasArts and everything, and they just kind of doled it all out. So it was probably hey, we need this game like now, kind of a thing. So they probably had limited time to make it.
Yeah, one of the decisions I thought when they had like the pricing and stuff, and like you said, you want kids to buy this stuff, but you're charging just a ridiculous rate, right?
Yeah,
it's almost like they thought Star Wars was so big that people would just buy. And there are people who will do that, but if you want to broaden, you're trying to bring a new generation to Star Wars. It's like make it affordable for folks to
Well, I mean, DLC is kind of it's since about 2008, once it really started, it's been all over the place. I mean, there's an infamous thing with Bethesda, the people who make Skyrim, where they charged like $5 to get like armor for your horse, and EA, one of the reasons they were rated one of the worst companies, was they were doing that same type of thing. They were just charging ridiculous things for these DLC packs,
packages. Even outside of that, you had like an art, like you said, like a build. You could get like different things that you could buy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like cosmetic stuff. Now there will be microtransactions in Battlefront 2, so it's probably going to be a lot of cosmetic stuff.
Okay.
A big thing that is kind of becoming a thing now because of phones is this idea of pay to win. So it's kind of like, say you'll see it a lot in like RPGs and stuff, where it's like, we'll say like I can get like the best armor, but rather than grinding out the game and playing it and trying to earn it by just paying like $99. I mean, it is usually something outrageous, and I just get the best gear first.
Yeah.
So then I'm so far ahead of everybody. So it's possible they could do something like that. You spend like $20 and you get the best gun right off the bat.
That's what Battlefront 1 did. Not maybe out the gate, but eventually they did that.
Yeah.
And we'd be playing and we're just like, how does so-and-so have that already? And I'm just sort of like, we're grinders. And people would just instantly have this stuff. And they're at the same level I am. I'm like, whoa. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that, but if they do it, they do it, and I'll just have to, I'll just have to take them on with what I have.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll use my A280, my Rebel blaster. Okay, and I will just take them on. All right. Gosh.
Mike's getting pumped up.
I'll go no scope, whatever I have to do. Okay.
Yeah.
So. All right, cool beans. What are some of the things that you're going to be doing with Battlefront 2 when it comes out? We have some plans, right, on the channel to kind of...
Yeah, so I'm going to be kind of focusing on video games, merchandise, mostly video games. It's just kind of my area of expertise. So when Battlefront 2 comes out, what I really want to do is, of course, initially review it. I'd probably, stream it, try to do as many streams as we possibly can. I'd really like to kind of focus on like character builds.
Right.
So, hey, try like... and we all had different character builds in Battlefront 1. I kind of went with like I played a lot of skirmish or the Walker Assault.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I want to have like you can have your builds. Like I want a lot of ion grenades, things like that.
Right.
I like snipers as opposed to this. So I kind of want to focus on maybe some builds that will help people.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds real good. And then along the way, while we get there, we're going to go back. You want to talk about the video that you have up right now?
So I actually just posted a video. It's going to be it's a new playlist. It's going to be called Rebel Watch Reviews. I'm probably also going to have one like Rebel Watch merchandise or Let's Plays or things like that.
Yep.
But I just reviewed Star Wars for the NES, one of the old Star Wars game. It's great. If you played the Super Star Wars series, that was a lot more popular on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
This one is real similar.
Right.
But yeah, it's I'm really into video game collecting, especially old games, and there's like 100 Star Wars games.
Yeah.
When
you told me that there, I was just like, okay.
Yeah, I went back and I started doing research because I know a lot of them, but I didn't realize there were really that many.
Yeah.
And a lot of obscure ones and stuff like that. And then there's a lot of like knockoff games, like things on Android that people just make, or I'm going to be focusing. Maybe there's thousands of Star Wars mods to other games like Skyrim.
Yeah. That blew me away when you told me that. I was like,
Doom
wait, what?
and stuff. And then even other games, like a lot of the old Star Wars games, like actually people are still modding Star Wars Battlefront II, the original Battlefront II from back in the day. And there's like, so you can play it in 4K with like HD mods and like 64 people playing, and so it's never ending. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, when you mention all those games, we're going to be going to the Portland Retro Gaming Convention.
Yeah,
right?
Portland Retro Gaming Expo at the end of October.
Yeah.
We will be there. I used to live in Portland. I've always wanted to go to it. It didn't really kind of start until after I moved back to Ohio. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going back, and now I've got a lot of Star Wars games to collect for.
Digging for some retro games for sure.
Yeah, Star Wars Masters of Terras Kai. For those of you who are watching, we will review it. We will play it. We won't like it, but
we'll do it. That's awesome. Okay, cool beans. So that's just a quick update. That's good information. There's just a whole other side to this that, like, with the games that we play, that we do, but just Matt knows all that stuff, and so we really want to get that on the channel and into the podcast a little bit more. So yeah. All right. So our next and our final third part of this podcast, we're going to talk about the Knights of Ren, and what the big question is: are the Knights of Ren force sensitive? And some people immediately are going to say, duh. And some people are going to say, no. There's really a good 50-50 split on this. And I was surprised. I think some people came out feeling that they either were force sensitive or that they weren't. You were really right down the middle on it. And we really don't know. We don't know a lot about the Knights of Ren. So what are your first, just when I ask that question, are the Knights of Ren force sensitive? What do you think out the gate? Based on The Force Awakens and what you know? No.
Because when I think of the idea of being a Sith as being more powerful than others, so it's even in the movies. So in the extended universe, it gets bigger, or even whatever they're calling it now. That's like canon, like the cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really that idea that like you want to then take over the other person. So why would you want other force sensitive people? Although I will say we do see, well, I guess in new canon, we saw our first force-sensitive non-Jedi in Rogue One.
Oh, you mean...
what's his name?
Chirrut?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, so that's a good point. So you talk about like force-sensitive versus being like a Jedi or a Sith.
Right.
Like Poe Dameron, we strongly believe that he grew up around a Force tree, that he probably is... force sensitive. I mean, watch what he does in The Force Awakens, and just clearly he has some force sensitivity. We just did a. It's gonna go up on next week, I think. But we did something on is Finn force sensitive. Really, what it comes down, what puzzles me about the Knights of Ren is that I'm gonna actually just, since you said no, we're gonna kind of go back and forth and get two sides of the coin here. If I were to say yes, and that the Knights of Ren are force sensitive. The way we don't know, they're surrounded by someone who is force sensitive. You mentioned that like the Sith there's really just been we've really only seen the rule of 2.
Right.
But if you go back to the days he's holding a what looks like an old Republic build for a lightsaber back when maybe there were more Sith and things were a little different. So if we've gotten away from that rule of 2 and that ended with Vader and Palpatine, then perhaps maybe we have more people who are probably maybe old Kylo Ren is vying for so maybe he's one of these guys and he's trying to they might challenge Ren at some point. What's weird is that they call him Ren in the movie. They actually call him Ren, but I don't know the weaponry. Okay, so like normally you associate a force sensitive person with like a lightsaber, and we didn't do that with Chirrut. We didn't do that with Poe Dameron. We don't do it with Leia. Leia doesn't really have a lightsaber, but we know she's force sensitive. She can communicate with Luke. And so to me, I think it's a real big question mark as to whether they're force sensitive. I was reading, again, I keep going back to this sort of plot leak or this new leak that I saw someone talking about. They're all over the place. They're literally just clickbait. People wanting to get some more clicks, which is fine. I think they're kind of funny and cool to listen to, hear people speculate, which is what we do. We speculate as well. So, but they were talking about when the Knights of Ren maybe show up on Occ 2 and they just start, you see them just using their force powers, like force pushing people, flying, objects flying through the air. And I thought to myself, I guess they could do that. I guess maybe they don't, maybe if they didn't have a lightsaber, in their arsenal. Maybe they use different weapons, but they use the Force with them to some degree, possibly. That could happen the same way that Chirrut does in Rogue One. He doesn't have a lightsaber, but the Force guides him. He's blasting. So maybe we wouldn't see what we typically see is like, Force sensitive people wielding that lightsaber or Force pushing or things like that, or Force lightning. But we might not see that caliber of Force abilities, but we might see something among one of them that.
Yeah, I mean, in Caravan of Courage, one of the Ewoks, he's.
Oh my gosh! We always
Which
go.
was canon.
Let's see. We just always end up going back to Caravan of Courage, and at one point, they are using the Force. Let's be clear in that movie. So, like, if the Ewoks are using the Force, and Pablo Hidalgo says the Force is in all of us. It's in everyone.
Right.
So the Force has awakened at this point, which I think we need to remember. Some people are like, well, we're maybe oversaturating the number of people who are Force sensitive, but we just came out of a time where episode 4, 5, and 6. Very few people, like Palpatine, was actually seeking out the younglings and either killing or destroying or imprisoning those younglings that were Force sensitive, or he was trying to turn them or find the next, Sith apprentice.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think you have to look at what do you consider to be Force sensitive? Because the Force is its own entity, right?
Yes.
So we just brought up Caravan of Courage, which I consider old canon. So that means it was at one point actually canon, declared by George Lucas.
Absolutely was.
Well,
Story
another
was by
thing
George Lucas,
which was declared canon by George Lucas, which I like to reference a lot, is the Force Unleashed.
Yep.
And in that, you've got clones in the second one. You've got clones which are Force sensitive. They're mass producing clones, and they have some of them have Force sensitivity.
Okay.
And so I think, like anything, I know people dispute it. I think droids can be Force sensitive because
wow,
the
Mike and I
Force,
have been talking about this for.
Well,
two
I just
episodes.
think I think R2D2 is probably Force sensitive, if not the Force himself. The Force Awakens, R2D2 awakens.
True.
I'm just gonna say
So true. Very
but
true.
Going back to the Knights of Ren real quick. For me, they kind of remind me. I just had to pull them up here. Just the Red Guards is who they just kind of remind me. Palpatine's like Red Guard, so I think that they're probably trained to fight Jedi, but I don't think that they themselves are Force sensitive.
Yeah,
everybody theoretically is Force sensitive.
Sure, yeah, we're kind of like. Will
they use the Force?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay, and I'm kind of with you. I just kind of wanted to see what the other side of the coin would look like. I really am not so sure that they're going to be Force sensitive. If they are, I would say it would maybe be like one other person is. It would surprise us if all of a sudden we saw one person use the Force and maybe Kylo had taught this person. The other question here is how did the Knights of Ren form? Where did they come from? I'm reading on Wikipedia just where it talks about that Supreme Leader Snoke is the leader and the head of the Knights of Ren, but it's like
why Ren?
Yeah, why Ren? And I know people have no one's. There's all sorts of theories. I actually really like the idea that they're like, well, Sabine's Ren, her last name is Ren. It's spelled with a W.
Kybo.
I get all of that, but it wouldn't surprise me if if this order was. They're saying it basically started after 6. It came to be, which you have the Acolytes of the Beyond, which is sort of like the dark side church, and you've got the Force of the Church of the Force. You remember Laura Santeca and the Force Awakens, the old guy in the beginning.
Yes,
he is a member of the Force of the Church, or the Church of the Force. Sorry, I keep saying it backwards.
Right,
and so those two factions, they were there. Those two religious organizations were there. We didn't hear a lot about them. We didn't see them in the movies, in the originals, but they were there. And I think sort of the Knights of Ren have been sort of like the leaders of that Acolytes of the Beyond. They've sort of it was almost like they had initiations going on in Aftermath, and they were like creating some of the like dark side artifacts. This is the big thing that's happening right now. They're seeking out dark like holocrons, masks,
apparel, things like that.
Yeah, and
which is if you go back to the Old Republic, that's like a huge thing, is seeking out these artifacts.
Well, okay, another huge thing that I saw in this script, this plot leak today, was that perhaps Snoke is just an old something from the Old Republic, but he's a relic. He's sort of like, I'm trying to think of
maybe he's like a weird holocron that can communicate with people.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe he's like a Sith holocron,
like a trapped Force ghost or something.
There we go. Something that is very different, but he's sort of like because at one point in Legends, these old Sith lords could like possess Jedi. They could possess people and things. We haven't really seen anything like that too much. We got into it a little bit with the Witches of Dathomir, where we had in the Clone Wars. You know, remember Darth Maul and his whole story. But so I think they might be taking us back there in a sense. I think there might be things with Snoke and these Knights of Ren that they have artifacts that are giving them power. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think what Episode 8, to me, what it seems like Episode 8 and Rogue One are pushing this idea, and you guys have talked about it a lot, that we need to get rid of this idea that like only Sith and only Jedi can use the Force. The Force is its own thing. The Sith and Jedi are like just one really small fraction of like everything else that's going on. We've just kind of always associated that with them.
Right, or they're more Force sensitive than other people. Like there's levels of Force sensitivity, and they've trained and mastered the Force and things like that. So yeah.
I mean, you know, like when I think of again referencing the video games here, but a big character like Kyle Katarn.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, he's more of like a bounty hunter than he is a Jedi, really. I mean, he uses a blaster just as much as he uses a lightsaber, if not more. And you know, he's more of this like, well, I just do whatever I want. And so I think we're going to see a lot more people arguing with Luke, a lot more of this like gray Jedi. Just because somebody has a lightsaber doesn't mean they're a Jedi. Just because somebody has, you know, a red one doesn't mean they're a Sith. Like,
right. Exactly. Yeah, I know, and I think we're going to get away from. That's why I think this whole rule of two was done with Palpatine and Vader. So something new has got to come of this. I still think we may have the Jedi around, but it may not be as big of a deal. Because I kind of think maybe Rey might convince Luke to actually train her as a Jedi. Yeah. But I don't know.
Because I think people we're still having this idea of the Knights of Ren are Sith. Well, I don't know that they are.
No, and actually...
Which then it kind of plays in the idea, well, you know, maybe they are Force sensitive because they're something new entirely. Maybe, you know...
Sure, yeah.
Maybe what we think of Force sensitive is... you know, different.
We need to start to change it. That's why I think there's a series of tweets by Pablo Hidalgo where he talks about what the Force is, and he breaks it down. We have a whole video on what the Force is on our channel. You can go back and check it out. I'll put a link to it here. But Pablo also mentions that there are no Sith. That Snoke, he basically comes out and says, they're not Sith. They're something different. So it makes sense that the Jedi would end, and then something new needs to be, you know, born from that. Yeah. From Luke's ending, we need to have Rey become something more. So yeah, I don't know. So you're right. I like what you said though. Is like if those two factions are ending, then maybe we could have more people who are Force sensitive. I just keep thinking that you might need more Force sensitive people, and maybe the Knights of Ren came from Luke's order that was destroyed. I keep thinking maybe not all of them, but maybe a couple of them came along with.
Well, I wonder how many people are Force sensitive, but when you, especially if you go watch. You know, like the first, all the movies really. He's too old to train.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So you have these people who's Force. I mean, Anakin. I mean, they almost didn't want to train Anakin, and he's got the highest metachlorian count of anybody ever. Right. And it's like so you have arguably a ship, a cup.
I mean, come on.
You have this potential God, like Force God walking around, and you're like, well, I don't want to train him because. Whatever. Right. So, I mean, how many Sith didn't train people who were Force sensitive, and how many Jedi didn't train people who were Force sensitive?
Right. And you also have all this issue, like when you look back at the Jedi Apprentice books with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and how basically, you had these younglings who, if they don't get picked by a master, if they find another role maybe in the temple, or some of them just switch jobs completely, and they're still Force sensitive. They were chosen by the Jedi, but they did not. Were not able to move along and progress in their training. So. That could be something like these guys here, who are just maybe on the lower end, and they gravitate towards Ben and Kylo Ren.
But I'm still, if I have to really press myself on it, I just think no, because I think then it just for the movie's sake, it kind of focuses on this team of people, and I think the idea is that it should be Kylo Ren.
Yeah, these guys need to be more disposable in a sense, and I think when they show up on Arc 2, some of them are going to die at the hands of Luke Skywalker and Rey.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think even if they do show hints of Force sensitivity, it's going to be. I'm with you. I think they're just it takes away from it being Snoke and Ben Solo or Kylo Ren.
Right.
So. Okay. All right. I think that's a good spot to leave it. Yeah. We covered a lot of ground there.
We went a little longer than expected.
That's fine. That's good.
That's what we do.
So, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think about the the Knights of Ren, are they force sensitive? Are they not force sensitive? Let us know what you think about Battlefront 2. Are you excited for it? What are your thoughts on it? And are there any games that you would like, Matt to look into? So there's hundreds.
There's hundreds. There's mods, which makes it like thousands.
Yeah.
There's a bunch I haven't played. So
just let us know down in the comments or shoot us an email and check us out on patreon.com. And I think that's it. Any other thoughts? We good?
Never forget.
Never forget. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks. Please like this video for more content. Please subscribe. We need more subscribers. We want to collaborate more. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Hey Star Wars fans, hope you enjoyed this edition of Rebel Watch. If you did, please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Also, if you'd like to become involved with this podcast, please go ahead and check us out at patreon.com/Rebel Watch. Thanks.